So, Joanna, I'm going to leave it over to you now. And there we go. We are recording, and I hand over to Joanna. Joanne, over to you.
Thank you very much, Sean. I would like to say a huge thank you for setting up these Thursday talks. I try to attend all of them, and they really are a really nice way for parents and teachers to learn from each other and share ideas. And it builds our Montessori community, which I think is very, very important. I'm going to try, I'm not a whiz on technology, try and share my screen with you so you can see the presentation. I do have a tendency of talking a little bit fast. So if I need to slow down, please indicate to me. I have friends in the audience, so I'm relying on you to slow me down. I'm very passionate about this and literacy specifically. It came to become one of my passions, one of my interests after lockdown, where I suddenly had to help parents support their children whilst trying to work, whilst trying to catch up on Zoom lessons. And so, yeah, it's this whole talk is based on 30 years of collecting of ideas. Don't ask me where I got them from. I'm not claiming them as mine. They're from various different sources. I can't remember where. So I'm not going to take ownership of them. These are just ideas that could work for you, may not work for others. And let's see how we go. Right, let me try share my screen. That one. Oh. There. Come on, you stupid thing. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, I think we're all fine for it, Joanna. Thanks.
Yes, we can. Excellent, thank you. Right, so here we go. Building blocks to literacy. Literacy is a new terminology for the new curriculum. And most people, when they hear the word literacy, they think reading and writing. Now, it's a bit more than that. If we look at literacy, we can break it down into 4 elements of language: are listening, speaking, and then you have your writing and reading. Most important one, of course, is our listening. If we look at that photograph there, that mom very lovingly playing with her baby, she's making full eye contact. She's touching hers, their hands. You can see some sort of joy in her face. The baby can see her mouth move, can see her eyes. She's giving her 100% attention to babies, and that's what we all do with our babies. And as they get older, we tend to do that a little bit less. So let's go back and listen to our children. Listen to what they are saying, whether it's understandable not at all times, but let's give them our full intent and listen with intention. One of the things to the parents that are attending, one of the things you notice, most Montessori teachers tend to always go down to the child's level to speak to them. They may hold their hands with the child's permission, definite eye contact going on. And that's from the children seeing how the adults listen to them, that's how they learn to listen. So the reason why your children aren't listening is because you might not be modeling the best listening practices. Not to put you on a guilt trip. I go on a guilt trip every day. But okay, right. So now we want active listening. How can we do that? In today's society, we are full, there's noise everywhere. There's noise from in the car, we're listening to the radio, we're listening to children's songs. Get out of school, there's the traffic. There's at the school, there's children playing. There's noise. Very important that, so there's this constant like buzz going on for the children. So it's very important to encourage moments of quiet. I know when I was a young parent many moons ago, the first thing I did when I walked into the house was turn on the TV because I wanted sound. I wanted to give my child as much language and as much sound and as much opportunity to learn. Used to put on admittedly Teletubbies, which was a silly little children's program, and that was it. Not necessarily for him to sit in front of, but just to hear the sounds, hear the words. Now, in my mature years, I realize how important silence, moments of quiet are, so that the children can learn to listen to silence. When giving your children instructions, how many of us repeat it over and over and over again until we eventually scream it? That's the only time they listen, because the children know they're going to wait until mom's at her wits' end and then they'll listen. Say it once, and then most importantly of all, allow them time to process what they've heard. If they still don't react, what did I ask you to do? Let them repeat the instruction back to you. And if they get it wrong, say, okay, let's start again. Then you repeat the instruction. If they still do not do it, just use one key word. For argument's sake, it could be if you've asked them to pack their toys away, or you've asked them to go brush the teeth. Instead of going, please won't you go and brush your teeth now? It's very polite, but you've given that the first time. The last time, say, teeth now. Make it sound as though you mean business. Then they will do it. And again, unfortunately, like with most developmental processes that take place, you got to model good discipline, good listening discipline. Listen to me, good listening skills. If the children see you listening, they get to learn how to do it. But this can all be fun. We can make it fun. Simon says, I think we all know how to. Simon says, do this, do this, do that. Mustn't do that. That's a game you can play with them. Recently, I work at a school where there's go right up to grade 7, 12-year-olds, and I had to speak to the whole group of children, 113 of them, from 2 to 12, and I had to try to get their attention without screaming and shouting or driving myself mad. I just said, right, everyone touch your head, and touch your nose, touch everything like that. And then I mixed it up with some silly words. The younger children are used to me and my silliness, so they didn't necessarily do it, but the older children like look at me and say, this woman's mad. And then I started using rhyming words. Touch your nose, then your toes, then your chin, then your shin, then your beak. And you can see the older children like look at me and say, but we don't have a beak. That's how I knew they were listening to me. Another game you can play is broken telephone, where you choose obviously with the younger children, it's one word, and they whisper it into, you sit in a circle, you whisper it into the child sitting next to you's ear, and they've got to pass the message on until it goes around the circle. It can be very entertaining, the words that come out in the end. And as they with practice, like with everything else and lots of repetition, they soon get to know how to do it. Where specific sounds are coming from. I have a dog, an Alsatian, and before when my children were smaller, I had 2 Labradors, and we used to, you identify, oh, Sasha's barking. Where's Sasha barking? Is she in the front garden or is she in the back garden? Is she outside the door or is she far away? So that they get to listen to where the sound is coming from, if it's a loud sound, if it's a soft sound, just to help and encourage their listening skills. And of course, nowadays it's very easy to find recordings of household sounds. You just go on to, I use Spotify, and you can find some amazing sounds there. There's brushing teeth, flushing the toilets, and you can just play those and a good time to do it is in the car. I've always traveled quite a distance to work, so my kids have always been in the car for a while, and that's when I used to have a CD back in those days when you got CDs, and we used to listen to the sounds. Rhyming words, very important, rhyming words, and absurdities. I'm just going to go to the next slide. There's a little bit more of an explanation. So on my left, I'm not sure if it's all on everybody's left, is I think as children we all learned that see you later alligator, in a while crocodile. There's the rhyming, later gator, while crocodile. And then there's more. You can say, see you soon, raccoon, be sweet, parakeet. So don't just stick to the see you later, alligator. Do that when they've mastered that, say, let's try something new. See you soon, raccoon. Oh, what's a raccoon? Another opportunity to enrich their vocabulary, explain what a raccoon is, a polar bear, you know, all these different animals that they can do. I mean, till then, penguin, adios, hippos. Doesn't really where I said it doesn't rhyme, but anyway, that's the type of thing you can do. Lots of nursery rhymes of very old. I mean, most of them are rhyming, so you can do lots of nursery rhymes, the old-fashioned ones as well as the modern ones. That's a lovely opportunity to the children get the rhythm of language. And then absurdities. This is just a picture I took of a smile game called Fix Up, where you have these weird things. If we look at the two children on the seesaw, we've got the very large child who's up in the air and the smaller child is down on the ground. You can discuss that with the children. You know, really, that's a bit silly. Do you think that would really happen? You could do it visually, or you could just say, give them an instruction. Can you go and put the milk on the fire? Or no, that's okay, but young. Can you go and put your shoes in the bath? And they'll look at you and say, in the bath. Then you know they're listening to you. So don't always, and that's normally aimed for a child, I would say 5. They don't take you so literally. The younger children literally take you literally. They'll do exactly what you say. So be a bit careful with that. But mix it up. Don't always talk sense to test their listening skills. Then we go on to our next element of speaking. When children start learning, around about 2, when they start speaking, we're very good at giving them lots and lots and lots of vocabulary, saying, pointing out things, naming things, and then it tends to fade away. We start dumbing our language down, for lack of a better term, you know, saying, put it on the shelf. No, put it on the shelf under the television. Can you please fetch me my pink fluffy slippers instead of just my slippers? So give them good, rich vocabulary and speak clearly. Often when we give instructions to children as well, they don't get to see our mouths. And I think that was one of the big problems that we all experience in schools, is children that were, say, between 2 and 3 during COVID, where we were wearing those lovely masks, they never got to see our mouths move. That our actual mouths move. You know, mumble like this and talk like this and don't move our mouths and things. We actually do move our mouths. In multilingual homes, allocate a language to a person. For argument's sake, Dad's English, he only speaks English to the child. If the mum's Afrikaans or German or whatever language is her home language, she speaks that. Then initially, the child will, as they learn, as their language development goes, they will mix it up, and that's okay. They will get it right if you are consistently speaking properly to them and not mixing up the languages. You've got one little girl in our school whose dad's Afrikaans, mom's German, and she comes to school, to an English school. When she started it, she must have been about 2, couldn't speak a word of English. She used to jabber on us with a whole mixture of German and Afrikaans, and by the time she was 2.5, being exposed to English school, she was talking away in English quite happily. And then she soon also picked up that there were other children in the class that could speak Afrikaans. And then she started speaking Afrikaans to them as if they had their own secret language, and which was very cute to see. Have your child guess what you're describing. You can play games with them. Say, I would like you to go and fetch something I wear at night over my pajamas. And they've got to guess your dressing gown. Or please can you get the sharp object that we use to cut out of the drawer? And they've got to guess the knife. All those things are things you can do every day. You're doing everyday tasks. When you go grocery shopping together, give them the list. They won't be able to read it, but they'll feel very important, and they'll be able to tell you. Obviously, they'll say sweets is on the list, or ice cream or biscuits, so they'll make their own shopping list. But give them the opportunity to discuss what you're buying. And when you're buying things, I'm going to buy not just cereal, I'm going to get cornflakes. I think I'll get the 1 kilogram box and not the 750-gram box. So all those conversations that you have with the children, you be specific, use different language, try and mix it up. And how many items you will need. If they're into counting as well, they can count how many things you need. When you just, let's say for argument's sake, you've planned your meals, not like I do it, but if you plan your meals, you say, okay, right, I need mince. I want to make spaghetti bolognese. I wonder what I need. And then you go past them. Oh, yes, I need mince and pasta. What type of pasta do you think I need? You can talk about sizes of things, shapes of the things, the weight of it, if it's heavy, if it's light. All of that help with your child's vocabulary and its speaking. It'll help your child learn new words. When you can talk about where things are, if it's in the middle or if it's the front or the back, first, second, or last, left or right. Talk about opposites, up or down. All of those things are not only giving them the vocab, but they're actually also preparing them for maths, which is very important that they're familiar with the maths vocabulary. Okay, now, as I said, having to wear masks during COVID was actually a problem for children learning to speak, because they never got to see the mouths move. And it's very, very important that the children actually realize we need to move our mouths. We've got a tongue. You can play games with them. They think it's hysterical. Stick your tongue out. Oh, I'm not allowed to do that. Let's see if we can. And you stick it out one side to the other side. Can you touch your nose with your tongue? You exercise. Your tongue's a muscle. It needs to be exercised. You can talk like when you suck your cheeks in. I don't think you can see it very clearly. When you talk like a fish. They find it very hysterical, and their mouths actually get sore because they haven't been using it. Blow bubbles. You can either use those little bubble ones and you blow and then blow all the bubbles, or you can use a straw, put a little bit of soapy water into a bowl, and they just blow bubbles into the straw. They will suck it up first. And that's okay. Obviously, you're not going to put a really strong solution of soap, but a little bit of soap won't kill anybody. And they'll very quickly learn to spit it out. You can also use a straw to suck air up and transfer little pieces of tissue paper with a straw. and I'm getting sidetracked here. But there's lots of very important mouth exercises that you can do with the children. It's also a fun one to do when you cover your teeth and you talk like this. They think it's hilarious, and they try to do it. Tongue twisters. I remember we did Zoom sessions during lockdown, and every week the children had to learn a new tongue twister. And the parents complained bitterly because they couldn't get this tongue twister right. How are they going to expect the children to get it right? So I think there's a common one we all know. She sells seashells by the seashore. And then say, oh, let's try it a little bit faster. She sells seashells by the seashore, and go faster and faster and faster until eventually you say in some very interesting phrases. Chewy sweets or food. I'm not an advocate of children chewing gum, but try and biltong. Chewy sweets, chew it, and then put the sweet on the left-hand side, put it in the middle, move it to the right. Just exercise in your mouth. The best one is when you put sticky, really peanut butter into their mouth, into the roof of their mouth, and they've got to try and lick it off the whole time. It's really quite entertaining, and it's actually helping them with their speech. Am I doing for time? I have a tendency of waffling on. Okay, right. So now we're on to writing, which is writing is more than just holding a pencil and forming letters. To be able to write, handwriting, when they go to formal schooling, to sit at a desk, you need core strength. Those stomach muscles need to be strong to be able to support them to sit correctly. Their shoulder stability, very important. Steady controlled hand movements, being able to open and close things, hold a pencil a long time. My daughter's 15, and after the exams she kept on moaning, oh, my hand's so sore. So I said, well, here we go, here's a stress ball, strengthen your hand. So even at 15 they still need to strengthen their hands. It's important that they understand the direction, the movements, the position of things, because when they come to forming a letter, that's all going to be an important part. That's why we talk about doing left and right. We often just point to things and don't give them the direction in which they need to go in to collect something. Knowing how to form shapes using curved lines and straight lines. And identifying what is a curved line, what is a straight line. Drawing with a stick in the sand, lovely activity to do with them. And you say, oh, let's do a zigzag, and then it's a straight line up and down. Let's make it curvy wave. Just giving them the vocabulary to the lines. They will formally learn this at school. You're just doing some informal preparation with the children. Okay, some ways that are fun and can actually be beneficial for parents too, for their core strength, crab walking. So that's when you're on if you sit on the floor with your knees up and you walk like a crab. I should have actually had a picture here. Failed there. Crab walking, very nice. When you're lying on your back with your feet up in the air and you're doing scissors. So your feet, my fingers are the feet, are your legs, and you're doing scissors. Knee lifts on a chair. So you're sitting on a chair, both feet on the ground, and you lift one knee up to your chin the whole time. So it's working your strength. Plank, when you lying on your tummy on the floor, then you lift up and you rest on your elbows and your feet, and you try to keep your tummy up as high as possible. Swinging by themselves, not being pushed, using their legs to go push up and back, going forwards and backwards. We often fall, as adults, fall into the trap of, please won't you push me? And before we know it, we're doing it. Let them learn. Obviously, it's going to take some time and lots of practice, but it's really, really worthwhile doing. Sit-ups, you can have a nice sit-up competition. Who can do the most sit-ups before supper or whatever. Leg roll, just rolling on the floor, keeping their bodies as straight and as rigid as possible, rolling from their tummies to their backs, back onto their tummies, so they do the leg roll. It's lovely to do if you are outside and you've got a little bit of a slope, just to give them a kickstart, to roll down the hill. What is really, really nice for the children as well is if you connect with them and you do it with them, they can see it is great fun. You're going to be exhausted afterwards, but it's worth it. Okay, your shoulder stability, getting nice, strong arms and shoulders. Wheelbarrow walk, where you hold the child's legs and they walk forwards with their hands. Leopard crawl, under tables, under a carpet. That's always great fun. I create chaos in the toddler class when we go and do that. Monkey bars, if you have a jungle gym where they swing on the monkey bars, brilliant, because they're hanging there. And they I don't know why children just love those monkey bars on the playground. Carrying heavy trays or bags, they can do it. Give them the opportunity to do it. It's so important that they do it. The more they struggle, the better it is. Don't try and make it easy for them. Tug of war, you can have fun tug of war. You can also do wall push-ups where you stand against the wall and you just push. When they do start writing, don't always let them sit at a table on a horizontal surface. Stick a piece of paper up on a wall. If you've got a chalkboard or an easel, let them write on a vertical surface. Excuse me. All those things are wonderful to do at at home, and if they can be done outside, it's even better. Then let's talk about our hand movements. Stress balls, wonderful for the hands, and don't always just use one hand. Swap with both. So you can have some time on your right hand, some time on your left hand. Those fidget toys where they push in the little knobbles, they push them in. Those make an irritating sound for the parents, but they're really, really good for the children. Wringing out cloths in the bath, give them a face cloth or a sponge to wring it out, twist their hands, get that movement going. Using tongs, love doing tongs. If possible, at meal times, allow them to dish up for themselves. Even if it's a big spoon, they can handle it. Tweezing, using a tweezer to pick up small objects. Pegging, helping to hang up washing. And if the line is above their heads, this movement, fabulous, absolutely fabulous. If you're an avid baker or like doing scrambled eggs, get them to whisk the eggs. Very good for preparing the hands for writing. And then our direction and position, use positional words like under they'll ask you, where's my shoes? Let's have a think. Where could they be? Where did you take them off? And they'll say, in the lounge. Okay, so what have we got in the lounge? We've got a couch, we've got the floor, we've got a table. Where do you think they'll be? On the floor. Oh, so they could be under the table or under the couch or next to the couch. Use those type of words with the children. Talk about left, right, middle, center. You could go quite technical with directions if you want to. They just want to learn. Songs and finger rhymes. There's some lovely ones around. YouTube is a wonderful tool to teach you all these songs if you've forgotten them from your own childhood or didn't have them in your own childhood. And also you don't necessarily have to stick to one language. With songs and rhymes and plays, and if you are familiar with some in a different language, do them with your children. They love it. Create an obstacle course when you just when you do it, say we're going to go under the chair, through the tunnel, over the steps, things like that. Back writing. Oh, God, no. So if your child stands with their back to you and you write something on their back and they've got to do it, and the people with the, okay, start again, Joanne. You have a piece of paper that say stuck on the wall. The child stands in front of the piece of paper. You stand behind the child. You write something on their back and they've got to copy it in front of them. They can do it with a paintbrush, they can paint, they can do it, if you don't want to do it inside, you can just again use a paintbrush and water, and they write on the walls with water so it doesn't make a mess. Anything like that. You don't have to do actual recognizable figures. You can do patterns, you can do shapes, you can do a whole lot of dots, anything like that, just so that they get to feel it through their whole bodies. What did I do now? I went the wrong way. Okay, and then there's just back in the day, there used to only be one pen grip. It used to be the tripod pen grip. Where they just pick a pen, they hold a pen like that, and that the children were forced to hold it like that. Now, what I've been told by an occupational therapist, the main criteria is as long as the pen is resting, what they call on the web of the hand, then that's okay. If they hold it like that or like that, there's not right because it's not resting on anything. So it must rest and must be a comfortable, relaxed grip. But this does change with the time, so don't quote me on that. Okay, then reading. Read, and read some more. Read to your children. Importantly, modeling. Read for yourself. Let your child see you reading. If you need to read something for work, say to your child, I need to read this now. You can sit next to me and you can read. And give them something to look, a book that they read or whatever. But do it so that they realize you concentrating on something and they are concentrating on something as well. And it's important. It's timeshare. You can be close, you can be separate, but read. If the children see you reading, they will read as well. Yeah, reading, can't stress how important reading is for children. Reading for children. Okay, so read to your child. Have lots of books at home. They don't always have to be storybooks. They can be what I would call coffee table books, and books of interest. I know when my children used to go to their grandparents, there's always, I don't think that was the era, always had a pile of books on the coffee table. And my kids used to sit there. And that's how my son got his love of cars, because grandpa had a cars book on the coffee table, and that's what he used to do, just sit and page through books. So lots and lots of books at home. And when you're reading with your children, read with expression. Don't just have this voice that goes like this. And I'll never forget listening to a poetry recital, and they went like this, and it was a whole singy song. You use different expressions, use different voices, different characters. Change your tone and the loudness of the voice. Everything doesn't have to be read loud. Even when you give an instruction, the quieter your voice, the more they listen. Point to the pictures that relate to what they're saying. Find stories with strong rhymes and rhythms. And then make reading a daily habit. You don't always have to read a different book every day. Repetition is brilliant. You read it, they can read it to you. You can, whilst you're reading it, you can put in different words and they'll quickly point and say, that's not what it says. Talk to the children about the pictures that are in the books and what you're reading, so that you can see if they actually are comprehending what they're reading. Comprehension is vitally important when they go to formal schooling. Encourage your child to ask questions. and you can start by asking questions. What do you think that the boy was doing then, or what, something like that. Why do you think that the sun was shining? Do you think it was night or day? You can, whatever. Just you can use a book. Doesn't have to just be the story that the author has written. You can make up your own story on the same book, or you can just use it to describe things or find things. I love those books, Where's Wally, where they've got to find that tiny little character with the red and white stripes and the big glasses. I love that book. It's very, very good to find those sort of things. Find books on topics which you know will interest your child. And let the children also choose their own books and read the same story over and over and over again. Mix it up, change the words, let him or her read to you. All those are really beneficial for the children. Okay, take turns in reading out loud. If it's a book they're very familiar with, say, okay, I'm going to read this page, you can read the next page. And if they make a mistake, don't worry. Doesn't make a difference. Don't correct them. Talk about the main characters of the story. What's the plot? What do you think the story's about? What did the little boy do? Did they solve any problems? That type of thing. What was in the beginning of the story again? Oh yeah, in the middle. And how did it end? Develop comparison skills. Ask about the characters in one book. Say, sure, this book, this story reminds me of another book. Can you think of another book that's like this? That sort of thing. Ask the children what their favorite story is and why. Often we know what their favorite story is, but why do they like it? They may not be able to say why they like it. You might say, oh, just because. And you can say, oh, I like it because it's about a little boy and whatever. Carry on like that. At the end of the book, ask them, what do you think that the person who wrote it was trying to tell us? Did we learn anything from it? That sort of thing. Those are all nice questions to ask after the story. Then, assuming your child is in a Montessori school, leave the learning to read to the teachers. But you can help them by playing I Spy. I spy in my little eye something beginning with B for bat or whatever it is that you've got there. You don't always have to do it with just the beginning sound. You can use the end sound. And really complicated, try the middle sound. When writing their names, often you see parents write these beautiful names on their children's things, but all in capitals. We will introduce the children to lowercase letters. The first letter, yes, use a capital because they're going to see it. They're going to see it. But the rest of their names we're using in lowercase and let them see you writing. I don't think many of us write very often. We all do these lovely things on our laptops. And on our phones, you can give a child a phone and they quickly know how to swipe. They can do the same with writing if they see you writing. Allow the child to write words without worrying about their spelling. If you can't work out what they say, say, sure, can you tell me what you wrote here? And then they'll be very happy to tell you because they think you're very stupid because you can't read. Avoid ABC. ABC is not what we teach in Montessori schools. We do the phonetic sounds of the letters. So it's A, B, K, D, E, F. I'm sure your teacher at the school will be able to help you with how to say the whole alphabet phonetically. You can break words down into sounds and syllables. You can clap them out just to create awareness of words are made up of sounds. And allow the language develop to happen at their pace. Yes, in Montessori, we do introduce children to letters at 4. Doesn't mean to say they're going to read at 4. Let it happen at their own pace. But if you've provided a rich language home environment for them, they'll get it and they'll love it. And they'll just go from strength to strength. And that's my spiel for today. Thank you very much for listening. I haven't been watching the chat and I didn't tell you to put anything in the chat. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. We've got some time left. So
Joanne, I think
yeah.
there are no questions in the chat, but maybe people can unmute themselves. If you stop your screen sharing, we'll be able to see who's wanting to ask you a question.
Okay, yes, there we go. Got that right. Well done. I'm learning
Lovely.
here. Yeah.
Okay, I think if anybody wants to ask a question, please go ahead and ask Joanne. There's so many people here. It's lovely to see so many have attended. I think it just shows how important we all feel literacy is for the children.
I didn't realize there were so many people. I've just got a shock.
Yeah, it's lovely. Rachel's wanting to ask you something. Rachel, go
Yes,
ahead.
Rachel.
Oh, yes. Hi, how are you?
Fine, thanks, and you?
I'm good. Our little princess is 3, and we do try to read for her or read with her every day. But then now we're struggling with concentration. She would pick a book, we would read, and a minute or two into the book, she goes and do other things. How do I get her to start focusing on the story without being too harsh?
I would ask her to read the story to you because she might not necessarily be wanting to be read to. She may just want your attention for that little bit of time. So let her tell you the story, and that's one thing you can do. You could also say, okay, we're going to read a story now. Let's see how far we can get. You can give her sort of a little bit of a challenge. See how many pages we can read today, and just slowly and slowly build with that. She is only 3. So you don't always necessarily have to stick to the words that the author has written in the story. You can just page through and let her just tell you about the pictures. That's also reading. It's also giving her opportunity to express herself, to use her vocabulary. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much. I'll try that.
Thank you.
Okay. Joanne, I see
Louise.
Louise, yes.
Hi, how's everybody doing? Thanks so much for the talk tonight. Very informative and fantastic. Just one of the questions I wanted to ask. Dexter has, and he probably gets it from me, but firstly, he doesn't like to do any kind of writing. And even just coloring in, he pushes very hard with his pen or pencil or anything. How could we possibly assist with that? Because then he gets tired a lot quicker.
Yes, he will get tired. It's pushing hard tires them out terribly. I would say go outside and do gross motor. Do those swinging on all those shoulder activities, walking on his hands, try doing handstands, cartwheels. Forget about the writing, get strength in the body. The writing will come once his body's this shoulder girdle and the arms are stronger. And if you want him to do writing, let him put a piece of paper on the wall and do big movements. What you can also do is you draw the infinity sign, or lazy 8, I think they call it, and you just get him to do it over and over and over again against the wall, because it's strengthening this, which he will tire, but slowly. So you say to him, okay, let's see if we can do, the boys like this especially, say we're going to be a racing car, we're going around the racing track, your pens, your Ferrari or your Lamborghini or whatever car it is, and you go around in the figure of 8, the figure of 8, and that'll slowly strengthen it. Coloring in, I personally don't like coloring in pictures. It restricts the creativity. I would encourage him to, if he draws something, let him fill it in himself by using coloring in skills, or you give him opportunity if you have those little water paint sets, because he'll be holding a brush in the correct way, and he'll still get the movements of filling something in, and it'll also strengthen his hands, and he'll get results, and he'll take away his frustration. He probably realizes he can't do it as well as he would like to do it, so that's what demotivates him. It's not that you expecting him to do it perfectly, he's expecting himself to do it properly, which is sometimes the case with children. Yes, Maya.
And there's Mapaseka's got a question.
Sorry, Joanne, maybe just to add to what you're saying, sometimes it also is the pencil or the pencil colors that we give them to use. Some of them are very difficult, you know, to maneuver around. So you need to see that if you as an adult is working with this pencil, how much pressure you have to put in order to fill in the picture. That will give you an indication that that brand of pencils are actually not a good choice for him right now. And also what's very nice with children that, you know, don't want to take on writing at this age is to give them cookies to draw. They love different mediums. So if you give them different mediums like oil pastels, cookies, a whole lot of options, they're more inclined to make some sort of drawing onto a page rather than if you just give them only a pencil to write with. Sorry, Joanne, that was just my
No, thank you, Samaya. You also, as Samaya was talking, I also thought what we had, we bought some sidewalk chalk. So it's chalk, it's about that thick, and the children love drawing with it. But what they used to do is they used to color the whole chalkboard in, then take a paintbrush in water and draw with the paintbrush so that they had the background and then the drawing was the paintbrush. So that's another thing you can do, because otherwise they just get a very negative feel to writing, which we don't want.
Yeah, and I see Mapaseka's got a question.
Yes. I haven't got my glasses on, I can't read.
Hi. So I have a question. So
Hi,
at
Maps.
home, we have the opal one.
Your connection
Can
is
you hear me?
poor. Not very well.
Connection's very bad.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to put the
I was
question in
saying
the
that
chat
at
and I
home
can
we
read it?
have, yes.
If you type the question into the chat, we can ask Joanne, and maybe you'll be able to hear her response.
Happy.
Anybody else got a question in the meantime? Paseko, are you going to try speaking again? There's Fortunate's got a question.
Hi, how are you?
Thanks
Can
to
you
you.
hear me? Good, thank
Yes.
you. So I wanted to ask, at what age would you expect a child to be able to draw a picture of themselves? I know this is not a drawing session, but I think it falls under like the patience to draw and to write, and like at what age would you expect them to be not fully competent, like to know how to draw a basic picture of themselves? Or at what age would you start to worry to say, now, why can't they why can't they draw a picture of themselves?
They start drawing just with just their head at
Yes.
around 3.5. So you have this massive circle, and then from there it's normally legs and then facial figures. It depends on exposure. If they've seen people draw, we had one little girl she came to us when she was 4 and she was drawing magnificently, but her dad was an artist. So she saw him draw all the time, and he gave her that attention and gave her the skills. But I would say, and I do stand to be corrected, I would say between 5 and 6 to draw head, body, legs, arms, fingers, feet, with clothes on 6. But it really does depend on also the interest of the child. My children hated drawing. So my daughter, when she was 7, she was still drawing a real stick figure. She had never did clothes on, everything like that. And so she's never been a strong drawer artist. But really I would say between 5 and 6. I wouldn't expect anything too full body.
Oh, all right. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay. Joanne, can you see the chat? Papa Circus put her question in there. Shall I read
I'm
it
just
out
going to
for
put my
you?
glasses on. Yes. Now I can see.
I have been reading to my 2
have-
and 3-year-olds in my mother tongue since they were babies. They love it because I get animated. When I read, normally they lose interest. Should I continue to read like a clown until they tell me to read normally, or must I keep trying to read normally until they're used to it?
I think you need to record your clown story.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think you can have a balance. Do some parts of a story clowning around, then get serious, and then as soon as they see their interest and you start being very animated, there's nothing wrong with reading animatedly at all. I don't know what normal reading is. So I think keep on what you're doing. If you keep them captivated and you're happy to do it, keep on doing it.
And I think a lot of people have storytelling skills as well. And I don't think
Yes.
parents should underestimate the value of telling stories to their children, telling real stories about their childhood. The children will be interested to hear what they did as a child. So don't underestimate your own ability to just tell stories if you're not happy reading stories.
And that's where grandparents come in, or another older generation come in. They can tell stories when they were growing up. My mom was born during the war in London, and she used to have it's horror stories really if you think about it. She used to tell my children about how she remembered having to go into the bomb shelter and what they did, the games they played while they were underground in the bomb shelter. And my kids to this day still remember those stories, and they were captivated by it. And so grandparents are fabulous at sharing stories about their own childhood.
Thank you, Joanna. I think we don't seem to have any more questions. If there are no more questions, it only remains for me to say thank you and to just tell everyone, please come to the next talk. If you're not already on our list, drop us an email or quickly put your email address in the chat. The next talk will be by Kate, I can't remember her surname, from Be in Touch organization about smartphones.
Oh,
which
lovely.
of course is very much the ongoing topic at the moment, particularly since Jonathan Haid's book came out. And I think it'll be a very valuable talk for everyone. So if you're not already on our list, give us your email address and we'll make sure you get to hearing about that. Okay, thank you all for coming, and thank you so much, Joanne, for this talk.
My pleasure.
I think it was fantastic, really nice, and I think all the discussion shows that everybody's found it very informative. So
thank you very much, Sean.
Okay, and good night to everyone. So Maya, I think you must also give me a topic for a talk, by the way.
Yes, yes.
You, hearing that they love you as a lecturer, I think we would all love you as a talker too. So
it will be my honor, Sean. It will be an honor for you.
I would love you to. Thank you. So we'll be in touch. Okay.
Thanks,
okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Further. And
Bye.
as you can, well, you can't actually see, my lights have come on again, so that's why I'm still here. Yeah. So I'm very relieved about that. Good night, everybody, and yeah, hope to see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.